You matter. You matter and you deserve to be happy. In the same way that you would want happiness for any of your loved ones, love yourself enough to want yourself to be happy too, right? Because when we come to that, all these other things start to happen more naturally.
Hey guys, it's Nancy and welcome to the She Laughs podcast. Sit down with me while I chat and get personal with some insanely cool women as they share their smarts and their hearts. God gave us each unique gifts and we got to use them. Inside each one of us is a cool girl. So buckle up. Let's get vulnerable. Let's get real and let's laugh.
Hey guys, welcome back to the She Laughs podcast. And I'm super excited about our guest today. And I know you will be too, because she's amazing and tackles so many really difficult things that we as women sometimes have to face, and has a really cool approach that's different and it works. So I would like to introduce to y'all Jen Higgins. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her before I give the floor to this amazing girl, but she is a leading expert in holistic wellness, specializing in helping women rebuild their lives after divorce and unhealthy relationships. With over 2 decades of experience in the mental health and physical industries, Jen is a licensed professional counselor, certified personal trainer, and certified nutrition behavior change specialist. She holds a BA in psychology and an MA in holistic counseling, and is the founder of Whole Health Wellness, LLC. I am going to let her tell you a little bit more about it before we dig deeper, because just the little she shared with me, I'm like, wow, where do I sign up? Okay. So Jen, if you'd like to let our listeners know a little bit about your approach that you shared with me, because it's really cool. What I think a lot of people run into when they try to heal from whatever it is and try to set boundaries or whatever they're doing. We read a book or we see something on Instagram, like a meme, do these 10 things. And, we really don't get further than that, right? They don't. Yeah. But what your approach does, I think, is gives you the practical day-to-day holding a hand when necessary to make her and hold us accountable, which I think is really cool. Right. So I would love for you to let everybody know a little bit more.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I mean, my personal journey brought me to understand the interplay between like how we take care of ourselves physically and the importance of that and how it impacts our mental health. And I've always just really been curious about like that interplay and how we can kind of maximize our growth and our evolution and our healing, by sort of addressing both modalities and understanding ourselves as like a very holistic being.
Right.
Yeah. So
real quick, let me just ask that for everybody listening that's going, okay, physical health is an impact on mental health. And I know you've said that's sort of a doorway where you often use that to begin the process of healing. But what does that look like? Like what we eat or how active we are, and how does that affect the mental health?
Yeah. They interplay on so many different levels. There's like, I'm going to say like the basic physiology level of like when we exercise, it does certain things to our hormones and our brain chemistry. When we eat certain foods, it does certain things to our hormones and our brain chemistry, and that impacts our mental health. That impacts our mood. You have more neurotransmitters in your gut than you actually do in your brain. Most people don't realize that. So what you eat is directly impacting your mood.
Does that mean if I eat, and okay, I have so many questions about that, but do you eat sugars or carbs, or is somebody else different than me? Is there a test I can take to see what makes me groggy, bloated, sad, mad, or how do you determine that? Or is it pretty much all humans across the board, or what is it?
Yeah, I mean, there are some things that are pretty universal. Things that are really inflammatory impact us in all kinds of negative ways. So things like processed foods and sugar and stuff like that. And then outside of that, a lot of it has to do with learning to listen to yourself and find out about yourself and find out, like, I feel best when I eat like this or whatever. There's definitely like some, I'm going to say, like, methods of eating that impact, say, like your blood sugar, and that can impact whether you feel anxious or not and whether you feel energized and excited for the day and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I interrupt, but that's really cool. I've never heard that there's more neurotransmitters in your gut than in your brain. That's really
Yeah. And with it all, like a main ethos of my work with women is that I want them to learn to love and respect themselves. I think so many women spend a good chunk of their life paying attention to everybody else around them and making decisions based on, what does this one want? What does that one need? That sort of stuff. And we kind of like break the communication with ourselves. And so that can lead to things like binge eating or not eating enough or not eating the right things, and not bothering to like make the appropriate food for ourselves, or get the appropriate movement for ourselves and things like that. So along the way in the work that I do with women, it's a lot about like, I want you to hear yourself. I want you to hear your body tell you what kind of food it wants, pay attention. And then, yeah, love yourself enough to respond to what you hear,
Yeah.
in that. Yeah.
Sure. So it sounds like to me what you're saying is you help us as women listen to our bodies. If we're crashing when we eat sugar, if we're grouchy, if we're not eating enough and we're lightheaded, a lot of times we just ignore that. And then we end up in this bad place. But it's also about learning to, from what I'm hearing, love yourself and honor yourself before, and so before others, right? I mean, not in a selfish way, but how can you be good to others and healthy and being your best self, right? How do you get us as women to not only pay attention to what we're eating and feel, but to learn to become, you said earlier, when we were just talking about setting boundaries, learning to honor themselves, because that's more than just saying, I am enough every morning and getting on with your day. Rough. I mean,
100%. Yeah. Right. I mean, and it's so easy to tout an affirmation or whatever, and then to put it into practice in your real life is, that's where the rubber meets the road, essentially. So, I mean, I think that when a woman reaches out to me and commits to an hour of their time to be introspective, to pay attention to themselves, to spend an hour talking about themselves, that's like a huge step, right? That's like, you know what? I have reflected enough to recognize that something is going on in my life and it's not okay, that I need change, right? So like that's already getting started. And so then I just really try to encourage that. And I'll often start women off with like a little, like an initial task of, and it sounds crazy, but this is so hard for so many, to just find 20 minutes a day that is your time, that is you time, that you might meditate, you might just have a quiet cup of coffee, whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is, but this is like a place that we practice now, starting to have boundaries around this little piece of time.
So in the 20 minutes, and I'm not a scroller because I'm just more of a move around and I just move things from here to there, When hey, let me move this. And then I'm like, why did I just set it over here? But I know a lot of people scroll. So during this 20 minutes, is anything we want to do off limits? Is it don't do laundry, don't watch TV, don't scroll? Or are there healthier things you encourage us to do? Or are we supposed to get centered? What do we do in this 20 minutes?
Yeah. So it should be 20 minutes that's about you. And when we're scrolling, it's not about us. We're paying attention to everybody else, right? If we're doing the laundry, that's not really about us. It's about the caretaking and stuff like that. So I'm a big proponent of meditation. So I will often like encourage some meditation. What meditation looks like, though, it doesn't have to be sitting on a cushion with your eyes closed. Meditation could be a really thoughtful, mindful walk outside, if that's more comfortable for you. It could look like a lot of things.
Listening to music, like. Right?
Yes. Right.
Thank you. because I'm not a vet only because I've never been taught. I know that there's value in it because everybody I talk to says it creates a self-awareness and you're able to have these often epiphanies about things, but I don't know how to do it. I know that's a big topic, but just quickly, like, what do you tell people? I'm on a walk. I'm doing 20 minutes. Like, Jen's my coach, and I'm going to get healthy. What am I? And I know you're probably going to say, think about whatever you want. But what are we supposed to be thinking about? Ourselves? That almost feels selfish, right? Like,
yes, but this is the goal, right? Because I mean, truly, it's not selfish, to take 20 minutes out of this, 24-hour day to make it be about yourself, right? That's really not selfish. But it is about learning to kind of pay attention. How do I feel? All right, how does my body feel, right? My body feels like this. Just kind of like reflecting, what kind of mood am I in? What is coming up for me? Meditation, I'm going to say good meditation, effective meditation. It isn't about having a clear mind or being totally focused on this one thing or whatever. Meditation is all about being able to observe yourself, being the observer of your thoughts. So if you were choosing to sit on the ground or lay on the ground and be in this sort of traditional meditative place, the goal isn't to have no thoughts. The goal is to notice when you have thoughts and make a choice. Do I want to hang on to it or do I want to let it go?
Okay.
Right?
Right. Okay. And we're supposed to hang on probably to the more positive thoughts and let the negative ones go, right? Or no?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's about, you bring an intention to it, right? So maybe, the intention is that I really want to focus on my breath. And so I just want to be thinking in, out, something simple like that. And then when a thought about the grocery list comes up, I'm going to notice it, not get upset about it, just go, okay, I'm going to let that go and go back to breathing in and breathing out. Yeah.
Okay. So we have the initial, reaching out, saying, giving you an hour, the self-awareness. I need to get better. The 20 minutes about me. And then what's next in the journey?
Yeah, well, I absolutely encourage exercise, and what that looks like from one person to another can be very different. It's interesting. I've been doing this for 10 years now, where I've incorporated these two things together. And what I have noticed though is that there are certain ways of exercising that tend to help women in certain different ways.
Oh, like what? Okay.
Women. Yeah. So when somebody is really struggling with anxiety and stress, oftentimes running or some kind of cardiovascular, endurance-y kind of thing can be really helpful. Also, and I don't know if many people know this, but if you have IBS, which a lot of women who are stressed out end up getting this diagnosis of IBS, running is one of the best things you can do for IBS. I have seen it help so many women in this really tremendous way.
Oh my gosh, I had to give up running because, I don't know, past a certain age and it just didn't feel good anymore. So after running is just fast walking. Is that okay?
Yes. It could be fast walking, look for some hill inclines, even, biking, you can do cycling, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's actually about rhythmic movement is calming to the brain. The rhythmic.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Cycling is good. Cycling classes are good for that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, keep going. I want to hear.
I was just going to say, another really cool thing is when women are overcoming certain types of trauma and are trying to reconnect to their personal power, weightlifting can be very empowering.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Well, what do you say to the girl or the woman who calls you and says, Jen, I just went through this divorce, or, lost my job, or was in an abusive relationship, or, maybe it's something with their child, right? Maybe somebody passed away, it's a trauma, right? But they're already exercising, let's say. So how do you, let's say they're doing some cycling or some HIIT classes and some weight training, but they've got anxiety, they're hurting, they're aware of the bad, maybe not so great decisions they're making, and they just need help. What do you overcome all this, to trust themselves again? What do you do for those women who come already pretty physically active?
Yeah, I mean, on the physical side, I would talk about like what's their relationship to exercise, because we have a relationship with exercise and we have a relationship with food. So we might talk about, is your relationship with exercise a healthy one? Are you over exercise? Are you using exercise to avoid your emotion? And if that's the case, then there's another conversation we have to have, right?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Okay. And then the last one, I think, well, I don't know what the next step is, but I really am interested in how you are able to customize, because I at first thought, well, there just must be this one size fits all, plan. And you're laughing like, no, not really. Like, how are you able to customize it and have them implement it daily?
Everybody is so unique. Everybody's coming with their own stories and their own experiences, and their own relationship with their body and their own relationship with, like I said, exercise and food and all this stuff, different current circumstances and things like that. So it is all very unique and needs to be individualized. So, usually I will start with something small and then we grow and build upon that, right? Depending on where somebody in particular is at, right? So, if we start with the 20 minutes a day, say, right, then, and we get comfortable with that, and then we start to sort of like expand out and talk about like, okay, and then where are we going to add some walks for yourself so that you're out in the sunlight? And how are we going to optimize that for your mental health, right? We're going to get you morning sunlight. That's good for your cortisol levels and all this stuff. So, but everybody has their own unique, circumstances. So it's all very individualized. And then, my process with women is usually like, we'll meet, and whether we work out or we just sit and talk afterwards, I will send them like a little recap, because we can sit here and have this conversation and you're so in it and you get it. And yes, I'm excited for this. And then you walk into regular life and you've got kids screaming at you and you've got your ex-husband, breathing on your neck or whatever, right? And you forget all that.
Right.
So I like to give a concrete, hey, this is what we talked about and this is what you're going to do to execute, right? And then we can kind of check in and make sure, that are you hitting any roadblocks? Is anything getting in the way? And those roadblocks are actually like, those are the good stuff, because that lets us have like a doorway into, okay, here's something to work on, right? You're having a hard time saying no to your kids when it's your workout time, or you're having a hard time, prioritizing nutrition enough to do some meal planning, things like that.
And I think too, as women, we have a hard time doing things for us, like we were talking about earlier, without feeling guilty, right? And it feels bad. But what I'm hearing you say is that if this doesn't have to be a huge trauma by that, something terrible that you'd see on the crash, which is awful, can be, but it's not. So for women who probably, I'm curious before I make that question or that assumption, what bubbles up the most that you see their trauma is, or what they struggle with? Is it being not afraid? Is it, honoring themselves? I mean, is it a divorce that left a broken heart? I mean, what is it that you see, you feel like a lot more than maybe something else?
A really common thing that does come to the surface is, I'm going to say, like an awkwardness and a newness about this idea of prioritizing yourself. And that can be very difficult because, it's like if a woman is coming from a marriage that ended and they're sort of like, I'll say like what they felt was their purpose was to take care of their family. And now things are different, and maybe they don't have their kids all the time and they don't have a husband to take care of or whatever. And they're like, but I never really asked myself, what do I want? And I never really found out, what do I like? And you never really found out, who am I outside of, being here for other people? And that can be,
yeah, I see that too. And in fact, last week I ran into two amazing women at different times. And both of them were sort of grappling with the fact that the kid had grown and gone to use their words, each one of them said, I'm just so bored. And I think what they really were struggling with is what you're saying, is they had not, honored themselves or sat to figure out, what do I really want?
Yeah.
And then the kids are gone. And suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, where am I? What am I? What am I doing? Almost like, what's my purpose? Right?
Oh yeah. Yes.
So you see that in your practice too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of talking with women about purpose and meaning. Like those two words, I think, kind of come up and go together. And it is like, if you had purpose and meaning and this one role in your life, and now that role is changed or it is no longer, finding purpose and meaning in these new and different ways is, it takes a little exploration, honestly,
Yeah. I mean, and I think different points in a woman's life, if they're married with children, right? Then, or if they're married, then or first they get married, and that's different, right? If they've never been. Or they have been, and it was with somebody else, and now they're with somebody else, and then there's a divorce, or you have children in a happy, healthy marriage, but children change the dynamics, and really, as mothers, we are, giving our all. Then to grow, I think, and go, which I think is another big life phase that we go through, and then suddenly we're grandparents, or our marriage is not great anymore, or we're leaving it, or whatever. And then there's menopause, which why didn't, I mean, Io, you talk about that. Why did not anybody talk to me about that until this year? I'm like, wait, what is happening? And it all encompassing. It's not just our body stops, that one cement thing that drives us bananas, but there's so much more that goes on.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to hear about that too, because what I noticed is, Oprah has really kind of made menopause not this horrible, weird, mysterious thing anymore by just trying to normalize the word. What do you do to help women going through that life cycle change?
Yeah. This is such an important thing. And gosh, it's been coming up so much. And it's really good. I'm so glad it's coming up, because it has encouraged me to really do a lot of research about how best to support women, going through this. And, 100%, it's like second puberty, only nobody ever talked about it. Nobody told us that we were going to feel totally different, and all these weird things were going to happen and stuff. So we think we're going crazy. We think we're,
Yes.
Yeah. We've somehow lost, touch with ourselves physically, and we can't think it's all the things, right?
What?
So, yeah. So, I mean, I will say there are very specific ways to exercise, to eat, to manage stress and things like that are particularly useful, helpful when in that phase of life. It has to do with hormonal changes and what hormonal changes actually mean inside the body. We kind of know, most people kind of know, okay, I'm going to have less estrogen, right? But do you realize that estrogen is an anti-inflammatory? So when we don't have estrogen, now we've got all this new inflammation in our body, systemic, which changes everything from how our brain is thinking, how clear-headed we are, to the fact that now this knee hurts me all the time, and all this stuff. Everything is impacted by it.
Well,
yeah.
We're losing that estrogen, which has the anti-inflammatory, which can show up as brain fog sometimes. Because I have a friend that texted me the other night. She's like, I just told my husband I can't hold a thought. And and she's going through it right now. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's bonkers. And you don't realize that. It's almost like you have pregnancy brain again.
At this right.
I couldn't hold a thought. Then it's I sounded like just a complete idiot moron, because I would say one thing and you go, wait, what did I say? It was crazy. And I felt like that recently again, when I had pregnancy brain. But nobody talks about menopause brain.
I know, right? Yes, right, right.
Yeah, I guess because pregnancy brain is more fun and having a baby, and not
and it's short term. It's going to go away. That's great.
There, we've done that, and now it's wait, what happened? And it can last. This can last a long time, right? Or no?
And no, it's not forever. I mean, it can be up to a 10-year period of time for some women. And he's so unique in terms of how much they're impacted by this. But like I said, when you when you're armed with awareness and you're armed with knowledge of like the best ways to exercise to like maintain, a body that feels good to you, the best ways to eat, and it's very different. Some women might have success with like, say, intermittent fasting. That's like been all the buzz for years or whatever. When you're perimenopausal women, intermittent fasting does not work. It's going to work against you. It's going to increase your cortisol levels, which means that you hang on to more belly fat, all that stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a totally different way of kind of looking at these things and thinking about them. So there's all that stuff, but how that like understanding, being armed with the knowledge helps you maintain a sense of I have control and agency over myself, my life, things like that. And that obviously has huge implications on how stressed out we feel and our mental health and things like that.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So if somebody comes to you and says, I'm struggling with this, and whether it's I was let go from my job, or my job's not providing meaning anymore, or I haven't had a job because I've been raising kids, or maybe it's a younger group going, I graduated and my first job wasn't fulfilling. And, where do I go? What am I doing? And all of these, I think, in all of those scenarios I just listed, I think are a big question mark of what am I doing? Why am I here? What's my purpose? Oh my gosh. And it's fear-based, a lot of it. Like, I missed something, should be doing something. I'm not doing this. What do I need? There's a little anxiety laced in there.
Yeah.
So if somebody presents to you like that in any of those scenarios, what is the first thing that you ask them and to assess how to get them? And then what could someone plan on their time with you looking like to help them find out what their meaning is, help them make healthy choices, start exercising in the right ways if they're anxious, like you were talking about? Like, what does that timeline look like, right? So they reach out to you and you set up the first session, and then what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I do encourage a lot of exploration. So that might look like, if you have no idea what things are fun and interesting to you now that you're not taking care of your kids, or now that you're not working full time, or whatever it is, take some shots in the dark. And I encourage, have fun. Like, I don't know, you ever, has it ever like crossed your mind that like, maybe I'd like to join a hiking group? Cool, go try, right? And, go try this, go try that, or whatever. And we might talk about them as an individual and try to like, it's like exploration. I'll try to give them some guidance and some ideas. Because again, what the initial problem is that they haven't been thinking about themselves. Right. And so once we kind of get this going and we kind of get them comfortable and used to just like, hey, let me reflect on myself, right? And let me go try this. And then I'm going to try this. And I'm going to ask myself, did that feel good to me? Did that feel like a match to me? I'm going to try this. Did that feel good to me? Did that feel like a match to me? And so I try to bring like a little bit of a energy of like, hey, this is kind of fun. The world is your oyster. You don't realize it. You didn't know that you could find all these opportunities, to get active and engaged with things, but, they're there.
I love that because it's so true. And yet we think, oh, I can't do it. No, right? So I let you help us as women to get us to that place. Well, okay. So if I don't live in Connecticut, Jen's based in Connecticut, guys, but I understand that you're able to work with men too. You're not but it's primarily. But if someone lives like me in Texas, kind of tell us about that, because I know a lot of our listeners are in Texas and would love to know.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, it's pretty much everything I do, in person with people. We can do virtually now. Like, thank you, COVID, for teaching us how to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, the one-on-one coaching. I'll say like, the kind of life coaching side of things or whatever can certainly obviously be done virtually through Zoom and things like that. And then even as far as like the exercise goes, there's different ways I work with women around this. And sometimes we're not necessarily doing the workouts together, but we're gonna explore your area and maybe certain classes that you're interested in, and we'll put together like a plan and a schedule. And we'll check in around that, and we'll work through any anxieties that you have about walking into the yoga class for the first time. And, so I kind of will like helping coach through that, right? And then, certainly the accountability factor helps get people going in that way.
For sure.
And then, and then I do like virtual personal training too, if somebody has access to, whether it's like stuff they have at home. I've even had a client, she took her phone to the gym. And she was just happy in her ears and going through the gym, and she kind of gave me a scan and a setup of her gym. And so I'd create a program and I just walk her through it, and,
that works so much. I mean,
yes.
Y'all, if y'all think that's crazy, I had been doing it for 3 years because I moved from where my trainer is, and I found this little, I don't know, magnetic stand. And when I'm walking down to the gym in my building or wherever I am, I pop that on it and hit go, and we are training virtually. And so it works. And again, it's that accountability. If I did not have that session, or like you encouraging someone to go and then they have to come back and talk to you about it, right? That's accountability.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get out of, I promise you I would eventually get out of bed, but not that early, and not, and not roll out of bed and do that first thing. It wouldn't happen. So I think that's huge. And then how many days, how often do you meet with a new client? I'm sure it's different than one that you've been seeing for a while, but initially, what does that in general look like? I know everybody's probably different because they present with different degrees of, each trauma, but
yeah, for sure. So, I mean, everybody is unique. So there are some who will come, and we are about once a week spending an hour of coaching time, just kind of talking and setting up plans and working through things. And then they go off, and, we might touch base through email or whatever. And so that would be about weekly. And then as time goes on and they've got their system down, we might touch base, every other week, that sort of thing, right? Whatever feels appropriate to them. And then there are some who I kind of call it like, it's like coaching plus training. So we have our one-on-one kind of sit down time, and then add on to that, a training session or two. So it's really flexible. It kind of depends on somebody's, how much of a deep dive somebody is ready to do.
Okay. And then let me ask you this. If someone, for me, and I know not everybody's wired this way, but I think a lot of us are, for me, a lot of what I look for is my purpose, I pray about. And it's really faith-based, a lot of it for me, other than me just relying on what I, think I might, right? And so it's me that does feel that way. I came to a session with you, I would say, I've been praying about it, and I've been praying about it for months or days or whatever it is. And I just can't figure out if what I'm hearing, because I hear this a lot. I don't know if it's God or if it's from me, but I want to figure this out because I know He wants the best for me. So how do you go about that? Or do you? Are you like, I'm not your person? Or do you?
I am actually very spiritually centered, and I absolutely encourage people. Like, I think when we are seeing ourselves as a holistic being, we are not just mental health, we are not just physical health, we are spiritual health too. That is a very important piece. And what that looks like is very unique and individual. But there's always a common underpinning, right? Of like, that is often where we're going to find the true sense of meaning and purpose. Absolutely. Where like we can truly settle into that. So yeah, I mean, I think like just having someone to sort out, like I feel like this is a calling for me. Maybe I have some fear about following through with the calling for myself, and, to kind of work through that. And I really try to get an understanding about each individual person, like how spirituality speaks to them, and, kind of like I say, like how it comes to them. and meet them right there, because that is a huge piece of, of the healing.
Okay.
For sure.
Really cool. Well,
Yeah.
I for sure want to go to your website and sign up, because I think I'd like to learn, am I eating the right things? Am I not? Am I waking up groggy and feeling tired because I ate those? I love these little Hershey's things at night. And the other night I ate 4 and I woke up going, oh my gosh, I mean, I look like horrible too. It's
Okay. Yeah.
And so anyway, I would, I'm gonna look into this for myself. And friend, this is really cool.
Awesome.
Okay, if there is one thing that you would want either the younger women of the world to know, or the older women to know, any age women, what would you want them to know, right? That you think is important for them to feel and to know and to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, really what I try to express to all of the clients, and really like anybody that I kind of touch in this way, is you matter. You matter, and you deserve to be happy. In the same way that you would want happiness for any of your loved ones, love yourself enough to want yourself to be happy too, right? Because when we come to that, all these other things start to happen more naturally.
Yes. Okay. I love that. Thank you. Because so much of us don't. We're so worried about everybody else. We're such caretakers and nurturers that we tend to not even think about what makes us tick, right? And so that's awesome. Well, guys, she is fantastic. I'm going to give you the ways right now. So wherever you are, if you're driving, just can re-listen, and I'll post it as well. But her website, to reach Jen Higgins, her website is whole, which like WHOLE with the W, -health-wellness.com. So that's whole-health-wellness.com. And she's also on Instagram. And her Instagram is at whole.health.wellness.coaching. And this is fantastic, because what I find and why I'm doing this podcast is because I really feel like as women, we live in fear to step out in the gifts God gave us, right? But so often we don't know what that is. Some of us know we have this gift, but we're like, oh, I can't do that. That's crazy talk. Or, what will they think of me? Or whatever. Or we don't even know that we're sabotaging ourselves, like you said, with these thoughts, or what we're eating or doing or not doing. And so I think, what I'm trying to do goes hand in hand with what you're doing. And I think it's fantastic. I mean, this is really cool. There's not a bunch of pills. Take this, take a shot, do this, drink this magic elixir, and, you'll be no anxiety and super fit and life is perfect, right?
Right.
It's real. For goodness sake, it's real. And it's something that we can develop an awareness of ourselves and understand ourselves. We can be our best self. So I think this is amazing. So thank you so much, guys. Okay, it's Jen, like I told you, whole-health-wellness.com. And on Instagram, it's at whole.health.wellness.coaching. And she does in person and virtual. So she's there for y'all. Jen, thank you so much for making time. This is so cool. Yeah. I love this.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for what you're doing for women as well.
Oh, well,
all of us.
I thank you. I mean, it's just, I love us. We're such a great, thing. And we just got to get brave and take action. And, so thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys. We will see you next week on the SheLaughs.com. She Laughs podcast. I'm saying .com after all of your. Bye, guys. See you soon. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to She Laughs. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend who might need a little courage or a reminder that she's not alone? Every share helps more women find their inner cool girl and kick fear to the curb. You can find links to our guests, watch full episodes on YouTube, and connect with me on social at She Laughs Podcast Official, all in the show notes. And remember, the dream inside of you means something. Take the first step. Be brave. God's got your back. And girl, you've got this.